Welcome to Bay, the Toastmasters TV show that serves our members all the way from Monterey up to San Francisco. I've been on this show many times, but this is my very first time as a host. And in celebration, I've engineered a very special episode for you. We have a speaker followed by an evaluator, and then in our second half, we'll have tips by some of our advanced speakers on what to do in various situations, things that can apply to every single one of you. Let's get started. Our first speaker today is Neema Fotoohi, and he'll be giving us a speech titled 3 First Date Principles Every Woman Wish Men Knew. Neema?
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. Today, I want to talk to you about 3 very important first date principles that all women wish men knew. Now, even though this advice is specifically for men, it's also good for women to hear and that they can apply as well. So stay in touch, stay tuned. So why first date principles? In the past 5 years, I've spent a lot of time studying this particular topic, and after speaking with the numerous women and men about this, about dating and relationships, it seems as though the first dates has the most bad advice for men. So I actually want to take the time here and clarify and give some men some better advice to ensure that they get better success in their interactions and ultimately get the second date and develop the relationship. Now, the nice thing is with these principles, they apply to men whether you are out of college or getting out of divorce and back into the dating pool. So pay attention. So we're going to go right into the 3 principles, and at the end, I'm going to also go into how you can stay in touch with me and, hear your success stories. Principle 1, don't even think about kissing her on the first date. Some guys may be thinking, why? Well, I'll tell you why. What happens is when you're interacting with a woman and you seem to have a good conversation going, you're engaged, you're connected, men have this amazing phenomenon where as soon as they start thinking about wanting to get physical with a woman, it's almost like a part of their brain shuts off. And it's as if they kind of go into this, I hate to say, predatory mode where they start planning and trying to, scheme, okay, I'm sitting across the table from her. Maybe if I go to the bathroom and come back around and try and get closer to her, maybe I could try and touch her and get physical, or maybe I'll walk her back to her place and, try and plant one on her then. It kind of creates a different energy. And what I mean is women they're not good at, what's the word? While they're not, fortune tellers, they can tell something is off in the interaction, and they can tell, okay, something's disconnected, something's off. And at the same time, what happens is with men, when we start thinking, okay, this is what I want to do, this is what I'm trying to get, men have a tendency to kind of lean in when they want to get something, and this causes the female to lean back and want to get away. So kind of keeping things light, don't even think about it. Maybe at the most, you'll give her a kiss to the cheek at night, and then leave it at that. That alone will save you a lot of frustration and also almost guarantee a way for her to want to get in touch with you again for a second date. That's principle 1. Principle number 2, location, location, location. I'm specifically talking about where you take her on the first date. Now, a lot of the times you hear the classic taking her to dinner or meeting up with her for drinks afterwards. Men, I hate to tell you this, but if you've thought about either of these, you already are dead before you even spoken a word. Now, why do I say that? Not to be harsh, but why do I say that? Well, because it sends the wrong messages to women. First off, dinner, it puts a lot of pressure on the date. If you think about it, you're buying dinner for her, you're with her for that at least an hour, maybe 2 hours. And for women, it kind of puts a lot of pressure on them. They start thinking to themselves, okay, does he want to get something out of me? Kind of, why is he doing this so soon? And besides, if the interaction isn't going well, you're stuck with that person for that long. Don't want to do that. And the second thing that I mentioned as far as taking her out to drinks, it's almost saying, hey, I'm not creative enough to think of something to do, so let's just go and get drunk together. So what are some better alternatives as opposed to dinner and drinks? Some of my personal favorites include taking her to tea and having stimulating conversation. Hint, have her bring something like a book. So at the very least, you have something to talk about if the conversation goes dull. Another place that I like to go to, either an art gallery or art museum. You know, there's plenty to talk about. Another place, if there's an outdoor event, go there as well. They're either free or cheap to do, and there's plenty of things to talk about as well. All right? So that's the second principle. The third one, she is just as nervous, if not more nervous, than you are. Now, what do I mean? In my years of interacting with women, and things that I've got from them is women think a lot. They overanalyze a lot of things. Not to, make fun of them because men are very dense. You could tell them a subtle hint and it goes right over their head. So men are kind of like the opposite end. So women overanalyze a lot of things. When they're going on this date, they're potentially thinking, well, could this be the one for me? Could he be a crazy stalker? Do I have to be aware of him? Is he, on the internet wanted in other states? Could he be my knight in shining armor? A lot of these thoughts are going through her head, so a lot of the times it builds up a lot of anticipation, possibly anxiety for her. So what does this mean for you, men? That means it's extremely important for you to be very calm and relaxed. And I mean that in two different ways. First and foremost, your body language. When you're sitting down, when you're interacting, kind of lean back a little bit. You don't want to be completely aloof and have your feet up, but you want to be relaxed, have a very postured body language that you become centered and that you're in control of yourself. Another way is also the actual topic conversation, the questions you're asking. Stay away from trite questions such as, what do you do for work, where'd you grow up, etc. Give some fun questions such as, okay, if you had to go on a first date with either James Bond or Jack Sparrow, who would you rather go on a first date with? Or who would you rather bite, Johnny Depp or Brad Pitt? Have fun with it a little bit. Kind of think of something creative, because it's a combination of she's getting comfortable with you and you're also getting comfortable with her. So that's important for you to kind of bring that relaxed energy. All right. So I went over 3 very important first date principles that you can apply tonight and on your next date. And if you're looking for more information, and I would love to hear success stories, please go ahead and contact me at contact@101firstdateideas.com. Otherwise, other than that, I hope to see you on the other side. I'm Toastmaster.
Thanks, Neema. So what club are you with?
I'm with Golden Gate Toastmasters.
Great. How long have you been in Toastmasters?
I've been a member about 2 years now.
Okay. Yeah. Seems like you've done a lot of speaking in that time.
I have, quite a few.
So how did you come up with these 3 principles?
It's a combination of doing my own testing over the years and trying things out kind of before I had gotten, inconsistent results, and I figured, hey, there's got to be something that has got to be happening here, and I started implementing them, and I noticed a change in my own behavior, but then also with the woman I was with as well. And after talking with a number of women, they kind of gave me the same feedback. Yeah, that'd be great if, guys did this, this, and this. And after explaining it to them, they agreed with me and like, yeah, I wish guys knew all that.
Well, I think you did women and men a big service tonight, and thank you so much, Neema.
Thank you.
Great. Now that we've given our evaluator a whole 30 seconds to come up with what she's going to say, please help me welcome Juanita Dion.
Thank you. Thank you, Kristyn. Neema, if I know about all those 3 tips, today I might land a different husband. Oh, I'm sorry, my husband's here. I'm gonna say something amazing. I was amazed by your opening speech. I know you're working on your objective is, project number 2, organize your speech. So we're looking at how you put all your story, your 3 points throughout from beginning to the end, how that makes sense to one single point. And you're going through beautifully to, methodically develop your speech. And your intentions are extremely concise and extremely clear. Few things I really want to applaud you on top of it is when you come in front of the stage, you shake the hand, you take your time to start, but you use your stage quite elegantly. We don't want people to walk back and forward. You stayed around the area, but you've maintained the eye contact with people. Your voice, your diction is very clear. On top of that, I wanted to applaud the one additional things that you using your story through. However, I really want to suggest you a very just tiny point on that point is you use your personal story even more like your experience, your success experience. I see that lovely, lovely mythology start from, how you're leaning over away from the kisses and don't kiss on the first day, do location, all the things on the recap. I would love to say the last part of your ending speech is recapping all the 3 points. And then using your own personal success story to use that from the beginning, middle, and the end. Through those 3 points, you'll be able to conquer your speech even more powerful instead of just talk about mythology. All in all, I'm looking forward to your speech, and it's a wonderful job. So thank you very much. Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, Juanita. Have you ever visited another Toastmasters club? Have you ever seen what other cultures are like in our district? Well, we have a special presentation for you. We're going to take you inside Redwood City Orators and show you a little bit about their club.
I'm a member of Redwood City Orators, and we meet at 7 a.m. on Friday mornings.
Well, our club does have a theme, and it's called Dare to Speak at 7 a.m. So we dare people to come and speak at 7 a.m.
And the fact that we meet at 7 a.m. in the morning is, for me, a really helpful thing because it means that it never conflicts with my day.
Good morning, fellow Toastmasters. Welcome to our meeting this morning.
Well, there are many different club cultures, and before I decided on taking up Redwood City Orators, I had actually visited several other clubs to see how their culture fit in with me, whether it was the time, the location, the group of people, the type of camaraderie that they had. That was important for me.
This is a community club as opposed to a business club, so therefore the topics are much broader.
Sarah Palin recently finished her book, and she entitled it Going Rogue, An American Life. Now, why do you suppose she chose that particular title for her book?
I love this. It's like family here.
Well, I certainly think that we are free to choose topics that might be considered sensitive in other environments. But because we know each other well, we feel free to express those kinds of things without concern about criticism.
We also thought that the world only was around for 4,000, 6,000 years, not long at all, and it was created for us.
Our second speaker this morning is David Ammon. And this is a non-manual speech, David?
As is the rule of our club, if you do have a non-manual speech, it is up to the evaluator to decide what you're going to be meeting as an objective. I got fed up one time with people who were just doing non-manual speeches. So I decided at the last minute when I was an evaluator for somebody, I thought, okay. And so I stood up and I said, well, so-and-so is going to be giving a speech today and I'm their evaluator. And these are their objectives. And before I knew it, everybody else who had to evaluate a non-manual speech started following what I had already decided to do. So it's become a club tradition. And what that has done is actually brought people back into using manual speeches.
I was dating a lady and she was a member and we were going out together and she said, I'm going to Toastmasters and you're coming. I didn't have much choice in that.
Well, I had decided finally to start my business again and realized that I needed to, have an outlet that was helping me focus on presenting my business, to improve my presentations, and then also to keep me busy. So I decided, well, let's try Toastmasters.
My wife, Carmel, had been with the club for about a year, and she suggested that I join, and it seemed like a good idea, and so I just went ahead and joined Toastmasters at that point, and I have never looked back. I really, really enjoyed this experience.
Congratulations for the best answer to that question.
By the way, I did marry her, and she's now my wife.
Welcome back to Bay to Bay. In this last section, we'll hear tips from some of our advanced speakers on what to do in everyday situations. Our first speaker, comes to us from the club Evening Stars in San Francisco. Derrick Pallas will be talking to us about what to do when you can't remember what to do. Derrick.
Has this ever happened to you? You've got this great idea, you take it home, you outline it, you come up with a great speech, you present the speech. What was I supposed to say, Kristyn? Oh no. Or say that you are halfway through a 3-point speech and you realize that you have totally forgotten what point number 1 was supposed to be. Well, I'm here to tell you what to do when you can't remember what to do. First, don't panic. The thing is that no one in the audience knows what you were going to say. You're the only one who knows you've made a mistake. And so don't let them know that you've made a mistake. You've got a couple of seconds right away to compose yourself, but you don't need to say, I'm sorry, or to backtrack, or anything else. Maybe they think that you are effectively using pauses. Let them continue to think that. Perhaps you can have a canned question. What do you think of that? Now you've bought yourself a little extra time. Okay, time is still running out. So tip number 2, think about your outline. You had an outline, right? By backing up from the words that you were intending to say and coming and looking at the bigger picture, it's easier to get a handle on where things need to go now and not get mixed up, not repeat yourself over and over again, and not repeat yourself over and over again. That just doesn't sound very good. But even if you can't rearrange your speech at all, you can't move one of your sections around or reorder anything, how do you make this speech still succeed? You nail the conclusion. Because the conclusion is the last thing that your audience is going to hear from you. And if you have to skip something, that's okay. Wouldn't you rather give a great 2-point speech than a sort of awkward 3-point speech? I know I would. As someone who's given plenty of awkward 2- and 3-point speeches, go for the great closer. The easiest way to nail your closer is to repeat the points that you actually made, not the points that you meant to make. And then have a couple of lines that are memorized that'll drive that point home. One thing that you never want to do is try and go backwards in the speech. Often people, when they get to their conclusion, will remember the thing that they missed, and they'll immediately try to start saying what all of that was. Once you're in the conclusion, do not stop. Conclude that speech immediately, let everyone clap for you, and get off the stage. So to recap, don't panic. Go back to your outline and nail the conclusion. And now you know what to do when you've forgotten what to do. Thank you.
Thanks, Derrick. Have you been putting off giving your next speech because you can't think of what to say? I know who you are. This is something every single Toastmaster faces, but you're in luck. We have with us today Sharon Corgile from Milpitas Toastmasters and Next Step Toastmasters to give us some tips on how to select your topic. Sharon.
Oh, I don't know what to say. What should I talk about? If I haven't heard that question once, I haven't heard it 100 times from Toastmasters over the years. And not just new Toastmasters, people who've been in it for a while who suddenly hit a dry spell and can't think of where to go for project 6, 7, 8. And I have a couple of suggestions for you tonight. I have 3 things I think will help you considerably. The first and most important thing is to realize that everything in life, and I mean everything, is subject for speech. Happy, sad, funny, tragic, news, old news, everything, historical, current, anything. Have you read a book? Even just one book in your entire life. Did you love it? Did you hate it? Can you recommend it or not? Give it to us in 4 to 6 minutes, 5 to 7 minutes, and encourage us to either read it or burn it. And that can be anything, anything. The field is so wide open. In fact, the problem is not that you have nothing to say, The problem is that there is so much to say that it's hard to kind of narrow it down to that critical 5 to 7 minutes. So that's number one. Realize that everything is grist for your mill. The second thing you want to do, and really, really important, is talk about something that you feel passionate about, extremely passionate about, because it's easy to talk about things that you enjoy. And if you enjoy them, people will enjoy them. You can smile, you feel emotion, they connect, and that's what we want to do when we speak, because we're not here necessarily to beat people over the head. We're here to connect with them, to entertain, motivate, persuade, or inspire. So that's number two. And three, if none of those work for you, go back to the one concrete map that you started your Toastmaster career with. And that would be your, coming up soon, Icebreaker. When you gave that Icebreaker, you talked about a few things. Look at what you talked about, because those are the things that you felt were important enough to share with other people. So we talked about where you're from, if it's from another country. Maybe I've never been there, or maybe I've been there and I'd love to hear about it again. Use what you have, what you've done, and build. Try to avoid, what's that expression? Reinventing the wheel. Use what's already available. So think about it. There's a whole world of topics out there, everything. Use it. Look at what's important to you, what you feel passionate about. Use it. And finally, take that little map for speech number one and work with that and build from there. And I think if you do that, you'll find you'll just be beating your brains. Oh, gosh, there's so much. What is it? You'll never, ever, ever run out of things to talk about. Thank you so much. Good luck on the next 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 speeches. Madam Toastmaster.
Thanks, Sharon. The Icebreaker is the first prepared speech you'll give in your Toastmasters career. But did you know you can do it again and again and again, even when you become an advanced speaker? Seems easy enough. It's an icebreaker speech. Just talk about yourself. But then when you go to do it, panic sets in. Don't worry, we have just the cure for you. Today we have Tony DeLeon, who will give us some tips on how to do your icebreaker speech. Tony.
Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, I'm here to give my icebreaker tips. My first tip is, if you just joined a club, get yourself signed up to do that icebreaker speech within the first 3 meetings. Don't wait. We're probably wondering, how do I accomplish that icebreaker speech? Remember, you have 4 to 6 minutes. It's not a lot of time. And you want to share a little bit of yourself with the audience. Where to start? Avoid a chronological speech. I was born in San Francisco. I went to high school. We want to avoid those types because they're boring to us to give, and unfortunately, it's a little bit boring to hear. What I think people want to hear, and a way for people to get to know you, is to talk about a life event, something that shaped your life. For example, maybe that first time you're away from home, going to college. Maybe that career deciding class where you decided, aha, I want to be a chemist. These are things that people want to hear. And I think it's easy to give because you truly believe and understand yourself. And you probably had this conversation one-on-one with several people. On the technical side, you want to begin your Toastmaster speech with a question. For example, do you remember the first time you were away from home and you didn't know anyone? And then go into Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and most honored guests, and work your speech. Now, often people forget to do how to end a speech. End it with your closing statement. Stay at the lectern, face the Toastmaster, and say, Madam Toastmaster, and then we know you're at the end. Nothing's more awkward than ending a speech and not knowing who to turn to. Always return control back to the person who gave it to you. Madam Toastmaster.
Thanks, Tony. Thank you, Tony. I hope you've enjoyed our show today. I know I have. And if you're out there watching, you might be wondering what it would be like to be here in our studio. So if you're interested, let us know. Even if you'd just like to come as an audience member just to check it out, we welcome you. If you're feeling a little friskier, be a speaker, be a host. You could be me. But either way, definitely check us out. We're at d4tm.org and toastmasters.org as well. You can check us out on your phone, on your iPad, on your Android device. There are just so many options out there. But no matter what happens, remember we're here. You know, it wasn't so long ago that I joined Toastmasters myself. And although it does seem like just yesterday, but I never thought I would get to where I am today. And it's because of experiences like this, like being on Bay to Bay, that have allowed me to move forward on my Toastmasters path, to really take that next step, to really move where I want to go. And I encourage everyone in our audience, whether you're our virtual audience or live audience here today, to go along with that and participate as much as you can. It's just the most rewarding experience ever. Again, thank you so much for joining us today, and we'll see you next time. Thanks.
Yay.